Lo and behold, Collider is here to put everyone in their place. Sit down, don't ask questions, just consume product. Stop hating on Disney live action remakes. This article goes into some absolutely just so many stretches and contortions of fact. I don't know. I don't know if this is an editorial or just someone ranting or Brandon. I don't know where you get your information from, but here we go. Nearly every live action remake makes a splash, so stop your complaining. I went through and checked out the last 12 or so. This article mentions 18, but no, they're not making a splash. Not even half of them were a success. Words that nearly haunt this generation? No. Words that haunt every generation of movie lovers. Live action remakes. Usually these films are met with disdain. Of course they are because, they're soulless cash grabs. Do we really need another remake of a fun animated film? No, we generally don't need one. Well, that should be the end of the article, but it continues. That doesn't mean we can discount the films altogether. Yes, it absolutely means we can discount them because as of late, they haven't been all that great over the past few years. We got Little Mermaid, Peter Pan and Wendy, which should have been called Wendy and Peter Pan. And just, one failure, Pinocchio, Mulan, Lady and the Tramp, Dumbo, astronomical failures. At least the ones that got released to the box office. Some of them went straight to Disney Plus, so you're never going to get to know those numbers. You just get to witness the CGI abominations that they are. Some of them have been quite good. 3 or 4 of them, maybe 5. Striking even when they bring their own voice to a familiar subject. Others that stick too close to the original film, though, seem not to be as successful. This line right here, this article contradicts itself. Stick too close to the original film, you mean like The Lion King did, which was criticized, as this article will mention, criticized for being a shot-for-shot remake of the original animated film, and yet it was the one that made the most money at the box office, coming in at $1.6 billion worldwide box office with a budget of $260 million. So if it sticks to the original, it's a failure, but The Lion King stuck to the original and it was the most successful. Something's not adding up here. Of course, the opposite is true too. Films that completely disregard the original, you mean like The Little Mermaid, can be equally disliked by fans, like The Little Mermaid. It's a fine line to walk and some do it well, just like the recently released Little Mermaid. Oh, my dear delusional fellow. Little Mermaid had a $250 million budget, with a box office so far of $338 million. It has not broken even, and I don't think it will. More than likely, it has plateaued, thanks to the racist overseas market, China, Korea, because Ariel doesn't look like Ariel. Call it what you want, but people have voiced their opinion, and they've done so with their wallets. Some like to walk the line. Some do it well. The Little Mermaid does it well. Oh, the cope is real. Despite the usual complaint when announced, 3 of the live action, no, actually 5. You do your research. It took me 5 minutes to do this. 5, this should say 5, not 3, 5 of the live action. Maybe they're only talking about the ones in the past 5 to 10 years. I don't know. Remakes have even broken $1 billion. Clearly, live-action remakes can still be quite successful. Well, when the failures, like, let's go with Pinocchio, $150 million budget, $23 million box office. Mulan, which was released day and date, I believe, or so many days afterwards, released to the theaters and to streaming. It reported $20 million budget, $70 million box office. Now, this mentions 3. There's actually 5. Lion King, I mentioned before. Aladdin, barely broke $1 billion. But then you go on to Beauty and the Beast, $1.2 billion. This article seems to have forgotten The Jungle Book, $1 billion. And many moons ago, Alice in Wonderland with Johnny Depp. It also broke $1 billion. Now, nobody's to say the live-action movies can't be successful. However, as of late, the most recent ones have been hot garbage. and people are tired of them. You would think, what? Aladdin would have been more successful. Lion King, that was successful. Lady and the Tramp, did you even know there was a Lady and the Tramp live action? Did you know that there was a Dumbo live action? Let's continue. What makes a Disney live action work? Let's see how much contradiction we got in this paragraph. There have been 18. You don't want to list them all. Oh, it's a click. I'm not clicking it. With more coming, ranging from Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. You mentioned Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland broke $1 billion, but that's not part of the $1 billion club? What the hell? To this month's Little Mermaid, which is an abject failure. What has proven to work well, is staying true to the original. But you just said... Hold on. Others that stuck too close to the original film seem to not be as successful. But right here, what makes a Disney live-action movie work? Work well is staying true to the original, while still adding new elements for fans to enjoy. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and the Lion King all made over $1 billion, and they are perhaps the most true to the original animated films out of the bunch. Despite the box office pull, however, The Lion King was met with sharp criticism, mostly because, yes, it was a shot-for-shot rehash, and the CGI animals were just disturbing. The voices, the familiarity, but whatever. The other 2 live actions in the $1 billion club, the other 4, however, handled this delicate balance between traditional versus original content much better. Both added deeper elements to the original storyline, including modern updates to songs and characters. Because, you can't, like in The Little Mermaid, Ursula, you can't have an evil character singing evil, being evil in the song. You have to take those verses out. Fuck off. We talk about villains. Let's go on. But what makes a Disney live-action movie fail? So, successful is following the original film, but a failure... Other live-action remakes are not so lucky. Much of this is to do with seemingly less enthusiasm and creative freedom, where the remakes end up being stale retreads of the original film, like the lackluster Pinocchio. How much did that make? $23 million at the box office with a $150 million budget. That was an astronomical failure. Film even starred Tom Hanks, who is usually a pull for audiences, but it was at this time when Pinocchio came out that people were really getting tired of the nonsense, the remakes, the rehashes, and the changes that seemed ideological to some. Whether you agree or not, it's how they felt. Worst live-action remake from Disney so far. That would be correct. The only reason Peter Pan and Wendy hasn't passed it up is because they're never going to release those numbers. Film was considered largely redundant, repeating the events of the original in a less vibrant expression on the screen. This is a general problem found in live-action remakes so far. Yes, they have no soul, they have no heart, but whatever. Even the good ones, the soulless representation of once lively characters in the original animation, and I do believe that is a key. In animation, you can do a lot more. You have a lot more freedom of expression with the colors and the scenery and the locations, the set pieces and everything like that. There's so much more freedom, so much more you can put into it that you can't do in live action without a hefty amount of CGI, and as of late, CGI has not been Disney's forte. Pinocchio was especially drab in the wake of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which featured breathtaking animation and a more nuanced, mature take on the material. Another criticism, the casting. So here's my favorite part, as always, especially considering what this article brings up. Another criticism some Disney live actions have faced in casting is casting. Well, that's because it's the first thing you show people. The actors and actresses taking on these roles. It's the first thing they see, so it's the first thing that can be criticized. It's the only thing that can be criticized and talked about. And you want to know what fans do? They talk about things. They compare it to what came before it, especially if it is a live-action rehash, remake, or whatever of an animated classic. They're going to talk about it because it's the only thing you give them to talk about. And what is the result? everybody's called a racist, everybody called a sexist, everybody's called a bigot. People just talking about it and criticizing it. You're not open for discussion. You immediately throw words around, all the derogatory buzzwords, calling people narcissists and racists. And it's tiresome. And it's another reason. It's excuse me, belch. It's fan baiting. I've talked about it before, and I will continue to talk about it. Fan baiting. It is a marketing ploy to get people to talk about your product, and it is a bad idea. It is a script. Every single one that comes out. The most recent one the ones that have come out is, of course, Lilo and Stitch, but that's on the other side of the aisle. But the next one coming out is the casting for Astrid in the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. The actress, unfortunately, doesn't look like the character. A blonde-haired Viking. Now, very pale in skin tone, but we'll see what happens once the movie comes out. I'm sure there will be claims and screams of racist for people criticizing the casting of Astrid, but it's probably already happened. But this article talks about Nani in Lilo and Stitch. And what was that criticism? The criticism was that she just wasn't dark enough. Seriously? So if you criticize Halle Bailey's casting as the Little Mermaid, you're racist. But criticizing the casting of Nani, Sydney Agudong, who is just not dark enough, even though she's a Hawaiian native, born and raised there, oh, well, that's okay. Do you see how much sense this makes and why more and more people, more and more normies, the silent majority, are walking away from this nonsense? They see what's happening and they're not interested. They're walking away and finding other forms of entertainment. The most recent example, as this article says, upcoming live-action Lilo and Stitch would face criticism for the casting of Nani due to concerns of colorism. So all of a sudden, casting of Nani, concerns of colorism, but if you criticize Halle Bailey's casting, use racist. Get bent. That's about it. Nani is a beloved character in the original. Of course she is. She's awesome. Them thick thighs, baby. Speaking to many kids... I'm talking about a cartoon character. Speaking to many kids who have gone through the same experiences, it is essential to cast actors who accurately represent their character's identity. Are you fucking kidding me? In the same article you talk about Halle Bailey and how it's just so great for representation, you sit there and talk about accurately representing. Which fucking one is it? I'm sorry. I'm about at my wit's end with this bullshit. Calm it down. You can't, in the same article, what's this? Brandon Moreno. In the same article, you talk about accurate representation and then go on to talk about how important it is to see Halle Bailey representing Ariel in The Little Mermaid. You disingenuous, hypocritical hump of slag. Oh my goodness. That is why movies like the live-action Little Mermaid fail at the box office, because you put ideological nonsense ahead of story, and then you have the same people screeching from the rafters that, oh, Nani's not dark enough, the actress isn't dark enough. But wait a minute, aren't we supposed to wait and see how the performer does? Best actress for the job. Fuck off. Okay, gonna calm it down. Little Mermaid is the perfect example of how to make magical live-action Disney movie. If that is what you think, every single one after this is going to be a complete and utter failure if they follow this key thing, point. Fuck off. I'm bent out of shape. This narrative aggravates me. Moving on. Newly released Little Mermaid captures the magic of the original film. No, it absolutely does not. I'm sorry. There are moments in it that are poorly paced, songs that were added. Eric gets an expansion, getting his own I Want song, which was absolutely terrible. Tone deaf, terrible singing. Sorry. As well as his own collection of sea-related items, the perfect mirror to Ariel's collection. Not even to mention the incredible representation Bailey brings to the screen. Do you understand that The Little Mermaid has always been popular among quite a few little girls, regardless of the color of their skin? Are you entirely that superficial that you think little girls, little black girls, Asian girls, Mexican, Latina, whatever they're from, non-Caucasian girls could never ever relate to Barbie or Ariel or any other thing because they did not look exactly like her. There's no possible way girls could enjoy Strawberry Shortcake or Rainbow Bright because, oh, she was too white. They never bought any of those toys. Make new characters, make new stories. Don't hijack and take secondhand nonsense like this. Hand-me-downs. Butchering a story. Make a new story. Princess and the Frog was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I own it. I went after the Lego minifigures for the set. I absolutely adore it, mostly because of where it takes place as well. Articles like this are absolute nonsense. The narrative is proven wrong over and over again. You have a movie out at the theaters with a black lead. Yes, it's a cartoon. Miles Morales is popular in the animated sector. Comic books are on the decline. DC and Marvel are floundering right now, mostly thanks to ideological stories, but also thanks to manga, which is kicking their ass left, right, and center. But you have a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie at the theaters with a black lead that is kicking the Little Mermaid's ass. Sure, second weekend, Little Mermaid's got to make as much as it did the first week, but 120 million opening weekend domestic versus 95, and the movies are relatively equal in length. Where's your narrative? 2 movies released with not much competition. Opening box office, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse kicks Ariel's ass, both in domestic and international. They both have black leads. One is just better than the other, with word of mouth probably going to help Across the Spider-Verse get some legs on it. Little Mermaid, sorry, you lost your legs. You're done. It'll be Little Mermaid live action will be lucky if it makes its budget. And for articles like this to continually just cope and seethe and try to run damage control on nonsensical, poorly made movies, piss poor CGI. Halle Bailey singing is outstanding. Yes, it was. But if that's your only defense of the movie, you have nothing. Halle Bailey's performance as an actress, it was okay. Her voice, fantastic. Again, like I've said in numerous times, there are a couple of parts in her singing that I did not care for, but it is personal preference. All around, her singing voice, fantastic. Probably the only redeeming factor in the whole movie. But that cannot carry a 2-hour and 20-minute movie made for kids. It's not going to sell. I don't know. Repeat watches on both of them might be a little sketchy, but I think people would be more interested in watching Across the Spider-Verse multiple times than watching The Little Mermaid multiple times. It's an unfortunate reality. Deal with it. Eric gets his own song. It's terrible. Despite their reputation of being bad, which most of them are, no. In order to have most, you have to have over 50%. Of the 13 I counted out, including the 2 that this article actually, one of them it mentions but doesn't bring into the $1 billion club, 5 out of 13 made over $1 billion, with one extra one, Cinderella, being a box office success. Cinderella had a budget of $95 million and a box office was of $542 million, which is a success. All the rest of them, complete and total tanking failures. They lost money, maybe a little bit. I think Dumbo barely broke even. The rest of them, absolute failures. $5 billion moneymakers does not make up for the rest of the failures. I think I repeated myself. Universal's How to Train Your Dragon coming in 2025. That's another movie that should not have been made, should not have been thought of. Leave the 3 classics alone. Little Mermaid is currently making a splash in theaters. No, Little Mermaid is drowning and sinking to the bottom of the ocean where it belongs. Stop hating on Disney live-action remakes? No. You want us to stop hating on the remakes? Make good stories. Do better. You've got to do better. But let me know what you think in the comments. Are you looking forward to more Disney live-action remakes, soulless, heartless remakes of beloved classic animated films? Are you looking forward to them? Are you done with Disney? Let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. This was a chunky one. See you in the next one.